Hi, my name is Vaughn. Recently, I attended the Alliance Air Show. I wanted to do some aviation photography with my Nikon Z6ii. With the introduction of the Nikon Z9, follow this link to get more details about the release. I wanted to see if I could use the Nikon Z6ii to capture action. The main reason I like air shows is because I get to take all that gear out to the air show and show my wife why I bought all that camera gear. Spent 46 hours waiting on aircraft to run their routines. It was fun tracking the A-10 Warthog, the F-16 Falcon, and the P-1 Mustang. Let's start this video by showing the equipment used in the video. For this shoot, I used a Nikon Z6ii with the Nikkor 200 to 500mm 5.6 VR from Fort Worth Camera. I'm not sponsored by them, I'm not affiliated by them, but they have always been around for me whenever I needed camera equipment. Compared the experience, I brought my Nikon D3S and used it with 3D tracking. I used the Panasonic GH4 to capture some B-roll. The rollout of the Nikon Z9, I wanted to use 3D tracking to show viewers that this technology is bad. I don't understand why it wasn't included with the Nikon Z6ii and the Z7ii. Ability on a windy day, I used my Vanguard Alta Pro 264 AT tripod and a Benro 484D monopod. Most of the photos and videos taken were handheld, which was an exercise in itself holding such a hefty lens at 5 pounds. Let's get into my experience with the Nikon Z6ii as an action photography camera. Before I started shooting anything, I made sure that the Nikkor 200 to 500mm lens was set up for this photo shoot. To get those blur-free pictures, I turned on the VR function and the sports mode. I automatically gained 4 stops to help me keep those planes in focus. I shot handheld knowing that the lens built-in VR would do the trick. The tip for the commenters that want to ask about the VR on the lens versus the camera's IBIS. If you turn on the VR on the lens, the Z6ii and the Z7ii will turn off the IBIS in the camera. The VR function will be grayed out in the camera's menu. If the lens doesn't have VR, then the camera will use the IBIS. This method saves battery life and takes away extra calculations from the process. For this photography shoot, I used shutter priority to make sure I captured the planes without blur. In the shutter priority mode, the Nikon Z6ii adjusted the aperture for the bright sunlight. If you see a high aperture in the photos, that's due to the sky having no clouds in the area the planes were performing. The auto area focus feature, I had to adjust my timing due to the movement of the planes. For the first hour, I practiced with AFC focus and the auto area focus mode. Zooming in and out created havoc for the auto area focus at first. I just couldn't get the box to lock onto the fast moving jets. I finally figured out a panning technique. Anticipate the planes or jets' flight and then start ahead of their flight path and then spray and play. Once they were in focus, some of the photos produced during the cry for help moment focused on the background and not the planes in flight. Photos that I did get in focus, they were incredibly sharp due to the Nikkor 200 to 500mm lens. After trying the auto area focus on a few different subjects, people, slower moving planes, I decided that maybe interference from the heat from the jets and atmospheric conditions or the jet's countermeasures were causing the camera not to get a lock. I concentrated on getting the Nikon Z6ii to use those 14 frames per second to my advantage. It can shoot at 14 frames per second, but it dropped to 10 frames per second. This drop created blackout in the EVF when the buffer ran dry. I had to recapture the planes after the EVF blackout. I didn't experience this issue with my D3, but that camera is built for action photography. While I was at the air show, I talked to some Canon mirrorless owners and mentioned the word blackout. Before I finished the sentence, The owner of a Canon EOS-R stated his camera didn't experience this issue. Hey, if you're a Canon shooter, leave me a comment. Us Nikon shooters want to know. To get more reach in some of the shots, I switched to the DX crop mode to get 1.5 times the magnification. Do the math. 1.5 magnification with a 500mm lens gives you 750 millimeters of extra magnification. Extra magnification, I can get close-ups of the Blue Angels taxiing to the runway and taking off. I was able to deliver these close-ups of the Blue Angels in flight. Close this video by saying that the Nikon Z6ii performed as expected for this type of run and gun photography. Received comments from this close-up of an A10 Warthog, these Blue Angel photos. I'll leave you a link where you can browse my airshow photo. The Nikon Z6ii is a great camera for my event photography business. But if you're into sports or aircraft photography where you need faster shooting for fast moving subjects, then it's best to get a Nikon Z9 for $5,500 if you have deep pockets. Or you can invest in a gently used DSLR and the Nikon D line. As always, please subscribe and thank you for watching.